If there's one thing we've learned about these Georgia Bulldogs, it's that they know how to win. They're 9-0 through their first 9 games of the season, and they've won a lot of games in a number of different ways. We've talked all season long. This team is not the flashiest Georgia team we've seen in the last several years. They're not the most explosive team that we've ever seen come through Athens, but this team knows how to win. It's in their DNA. It's in the building. It's in the program, the culture. It's in Kirby Smart for sure. Of course, this team individually is different from the last 2 teams that went on to win national championships, but you can tell that that winning DNA is still there throughout this team. They've come from behind. Again, it hasn't always looked pretty, but they find a way to win games no matter what. If they need a big throw, 3rd and long, or a big conversion late in the game in the 4th down, maybe against Auburn or South Carolina, Carson Beck is the guy who can make that throw. They need a big tackle, a big stop defensively, whether they're down in the ball game, they're tied, trying to get some momentum. The defense knows how to make a stop. Or against Missouri, a key turnover or 2 late in the game and in the 4th quarter. This team knows what it takes to win the game. That's all they're trying to do, right? Doesn't matter if you win by 20 or by 1, especially at this point in the season where it's just survive and advance. Just win game by game by game. If Georgia wins out, they're number 1 in the college football playoff. If they're undefeated SEC champ, I don't care if they beat Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech by 1 point, right? Or Alabama in the SEC championship game. They win every game by 1 point. They're number 1 in the playoffs. That's just how it should be because they win games. And one of the best parts about this team that I find so interesting is that, they'll take a punch or 2, but all they know how to do is get back up and fight and keep pushing. This is a 4-quarter team. They've dominated in the 3rd quarter, and they've dominated when they've had to in the 4th quarter as well. They make adjustments. They regroup when they need to, and they go out and play their best football when it matters. When the game is on the line, this team knows how to come through. Peyton Woodring knows how to make a clutch kick, right? Nazir Stackhouse knows how to make a big play or an interception with the game on the line. They play so poised and composed, and they're disciplined. That's what Kirby preaches, and that's what he has installed in this program. Composure, physicality, connection. You see it within this program when they do get down to South Carolina early in the first half, or against Auburn, or down quickly to Florida or Vanderbilt. They don't flinch, especially because it just happens in the 1st quarter, and then they fight back pretty quickly. But in the 2nd half, 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, with the game still on the line against Missouri and Auburn, South Carolina, this team doesn't flinch. They say, okay, we'll take your punch and we'll throw out some more. We're going to regroup, and we're going to realize, okay, you're just South Carolina. That was a cute first half, but we're going to take your face and we're going to shove you into the ground and rub some dirt in. That's what we do with the Georgia Bulldogs. That's what they do. Again, I feel like I have to say, last year's team was different. 2 years ago, they were different. I don't think this team is as good. They're not nearly as flashy, right? They still have some explosive plays here and there, but this team isn't winning because they're more explosive and they're just up and down the field, left and right, unstoppable, right? They can march down the field on just about anyone. Just about anyone. And we've seen it time and time again throughout the season. But that's what they do. That is their identity, and that's what they have instilled in them this year. This year's different, and this year they've found ways to win over and over and over again. And, like Paul Feinbaum, and I think like Dean said in another video, doesn't always look pretty, right? That South Carolina win wasn't pretty. The Auburn win wasn't pretty. I don't know if the Missouri game was pretty. I mean, they won by 9 points against the number 12 team in the country. That is a very solid win over a quality opponent. But this is a lunge pail type of team. They go to work. They grind. They compete. They focus on the details. They go to battle. They go to war. And sometimes they're coming out with some scratches and bruises. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who are standing on top every game this season. They're 9-0. Doesn't matter if it looked pretty or not, especially right now, right? It might not look pretty against Ole Miss, and it might not look pretty in Knoxville up when they take on the Vols, who are playing a lot better. And it's probably not going to look super pretty if they have to play Alabama, a team that's playing better and better. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's all about getting the win, all about getting the dub. And that's what this team does better than anyone. Right now and over the last 3 years, no one has found a way to win games more consistently than Georgia. Again, they're not blowing teams off the ball from the beginning to end, right? They're not crushing opponents like Georgia fans have kind of come accustomed to seeing, right? But they're winning games. It's not always flashy, but they grind it out. They compete. They know what they need to do to win the game. And a lot of it is because they have a coaching staff and they play in a program and in a culture that just fights back. Fight back. You're going to get most everyone's best shot. I think they got Missouri's best shot. South Carolina gave them their A game for a half. Auburn gave them their best football they played all season, was first half against Georgia. You're going to have to take some punches, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to deliver. And you're going to have to put them on the mat and knock them out. And every time Georgia's been able to do that, they will steal your soul. Basically, they're going to give you an opportunity to feel good, like, hey, oh my gosh, we can hang with the Dogs. We can possibly beat the Dogs. Second half comes, and Georgia says, nah, dude. No, not happening. Not on us. We know what we're doing. We know what it takes to win. And they always find a way. This team, I've talked about it before, third down, offense, defense, they make the stops when they need to. They make the key runs, the key throws. And again, it's sometimes they'll go 3 and out, and sometimes you're shaking your head like, okay, what was that? Things have to be cleaned up a little bit. Defense, maybe we haven't seen them necessarily tackle as well as they have in recent years. The offensive line has not looked as dominant as they have, but we're being nitpicky at that point because I've covered a team that has dominated week after week after week last year, and 2 years ago, pretty much the same thing except for that lost to Alabama in the SEC title game. But, you know, when you watch Georgia, when you cover Georgia, you expect them to play with a standard. This season, they haven't always played to that standard, but they've won games. And that's all Kirby Smart cares about. That's all anyone cares about. And I know there are other Georgia fans that aren't satisfied unless Georgia beats every team by 30. And that's just not reality, especially this year where they've had to grind out wins and come from behind. The games mean a lot, and I think Georgia fans should enjoy these wins, right? Enjoy them. I think Kirby was saying the other day how former players have come back to Athens and said, hey, y'all enjoy these wins because it's tough to win at the next level, and it's tough to win in the SEC, and you've won 20-plus games now in a row. You have to enjoy them. When you go on the road and come from behind and beat Auburn, even though Auburn's a bad team, that's an ugly win, but you have to enjoy it, right? Still a win over Auburn. When Carolina comes to town, they go up 2 scores. Their fans are going nuts, right? Carolina thinks it's 2019 again, and it felt that way for a little bit. What's Georgia do? They come out and they pummel them in the second half and remind them who they are and remind them who the Dogs are, right? That's just what they do. They'll take a punch, but then they'll give some back. It is a lunch pail. Go to work, do your job, focus on the details. Doesn't have to be flashy, doesn't have to be eye-opening. Get the job done. And that's exactly what they've done this year. And again, it's because of what Kirby Smart has instilled in this program over years. You know, the values that he put into this program and instilled and focused on years ago, right? The composure, the discipline, the toughness, the connection, that has helped this team get to where they are because they're not flinching when they get down. And they could go down against Ole Miss. They could go down against Tennessee. But what we've learned from this team is that they will fight back and they will make every team earn it. If you want to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, you have to earn it, and you have to play your very best for 4 quarters. That's what we know. This team is not going to give an inch. That's not instilled in them. They don't know how to do that. They know how to fight back. They know how to deliver punches, and they know how to grind out wins and make the necessary plays in all 3 phases of the game to win, especially down the stretch. As the game goes on, you can make the case that Georgia plays better and better and better as the game goes on. But right now, it's win in advance, and they're winning a lot of games right now, as they should. They're very talented. They're very deep. 2-time national champions. They have the best coach in college football and one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Brock Bowers coming back is going to be huge, but this team knows how to win in a lot of different ways. They can blow teams out like they have Florida and Kentucky and look like that dominant, complete team that they were the past couple of years. And they are a complete team. They are, arguably the best team in college football. I think they are. But they know how to win tight, close ball games and come from behind and keep fighting and fighting and fighting. There's a lot of fight in this team. They know how to fight through adversity. They've been very impressive. But the fact that they can win these tight, close ball games and come from behind, that is what has stood out to me the most. What have you learned from this Georgia team 9 games in? Are they going to win the national title? They keep this up. Looks like they will be. Thanks for watching this video. Really appreciate it. Sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below, and I hope to see you over on the website.